actually came into the UK with the mind that I was going to be a mathematics teacher. Funny enough, it was marriage that made me leave my home country. I had a 9-hour 20 contract.
What does that mean?
As in a week, I was contracted to do 9 hours 20. 9 hours 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Contract.
Okay.
It's very important for us to understand that if you get to this country, things might not work the way you want it to work. 2 weeks before I left the country, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh.
Okay, so it's getting interesting, right? I don't know if you've seen my profile, but I have a lot of certifications.
I was about to read it out.
So I would have, mind you, I was pregnant. But because God blessed me with a very beautiful, slim body, nobody knew I was pregnant. But what I didn't realize was that teaching in this country is a different ballgame. Fooling myself thinking I was going to be a college teacher. The first thing the college students joked about was my last name. You'll be booking taxi for an elderly person and the person will tell you, I don't understand your accent. Where exactly are you from? And I'll say, I'm from Aberdeen. No, damn it. You can't be from Aberdeen.
This is Diary of Successful Immigrants. Diary of Successful Immigrants.
Hello there. Thank you so much for your support on this podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this to inspire somebody. And if you're interested in sharing your story, please get across to us just by using the contact details you can see on the screen at the moment. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants, and the aim is to continue to share success story. It's not about the politics. It's about the journey to success.
This is Diary of Successful Immigrants.
The first time I actually noticed you was a very funny time. I think you were doing maybe they were having a women program, and then you ended up coming to the stage and you did a law. And I was just like, who is this lady? You get what I mean? That is a bit extra. That was my first impression, to be honest. Then there was this program which you spoke at, and that was the first time I would hear you speak outside. Mm-hmm. And you spoke about how people that are just coming into the UK and how they could upskill and get a better life and stuff. So that was the first time I noticed your profile, and only for me to realize that you work in Sky.
Yeah.
And also you're the head of cybersecurity.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because cybersecurity is quite huge.
All right.
Currently, I am a senior manager.
Okay.
And I lead cybersecurity initiatives across Sky Group, which is a huge portfolio because Sky Group, it has its presence in Germany, in Italy, and then we've got some teams in Chennai, in India, and we've got some team in the UK. So the initiative around group, I kind of lead, but work in collaboration with all the other cyber risk leaders in different spaces. So I think that's more of that. But if you look at where I have been and where I've come from, I'm quite vast with my portfolio. Apart from Sky itself, I look at other places.
So I was actually about to get there. Mm-hmm. You know, Sky is now like the big thing. But if you remember very well, I had a conversation with you after the program, and I was just like, this. And you were like, yeah, I even started in civil service. I was like, how come you start in civil service and you move that fast and that high? So just walk me through, actually, because this is Diary of a Successful Immigrant. Mm-hmm. And what we discuss here is actually the journey. Yeah, you get what I mean? Yeah. Not just where you are. Can you walk me through it? Why actually did you make the decision to even leave your home country for?
So basically, I was doing well, but I'm a very restless person, right? Let me put it that way.
Okay.
And funny enough, it was marriage that made me leave my home country, because when I met my husband here, one of my episodes of visiting and stuff like that, never knew I was going to get married to him at the end. But life happens. And he's always wanted to remain in this part of the world. So that was the driver to make me move over to the UK. And the first place I landed was somewhere called Aberdeen in Scotland.
Yeah,
and that was because that's where I had friends. And I landed in the UK when they had the recession in 2007. So there were no jobs. I actually came into the UK with the mind that I was going to be a mathematics teacher.
Oh, okay. Was that what you were doing back in your country?
Funny enough, I was working in a telecommunication company.
Okay.
Back then, it was called V-Mobile. Then V-Mobile became...
Is it Airtel?
Yeah. That company has changed names up to the extent that now I don't know what the name is, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, not to dish it. So it was V-Mobile, then it became Celtel. I left when it was Celtel. Maybe that's another story because it's in another continent, right? Landing Aberdeen, there was no job. And I came in as what the scheme they called highly skilled migrant scheme at that time. And it was more, for me, it was, okay, I was coming to teach because I like to coach, teach. I like education very well. And so my idea was I was going to be a maths teacher. But what I didn't realize was that teaching in this country is a different ballgame.
Okay.
And I did some trials for teaching and I didn't have good experience. First of all, my last name is very long. Omoediale Samuel. Fooling myself thinking I was going to be a college teacher. The first thing the college students joked about was my last name. And it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
But there were no jobs. There were absolutely no jobs.
Wow. So can you contextualize it in in current day? There's something of, when you say there was no job back then, what does it mean in current day?
There was a recession.
Okay.
In current day now, if you noticed, the job market is a little bit slow. It's picking up now.
Okay.
When the UK is in recession, when there's no money in the economy, you have job losses. I'm sure you would have heard a lot of stories about people being made redundant. It's usually that kind of scenario. It's happened before. In 2007, it was like that. You and I had a conversation that I worked in the civil service. But what you don't know was that the first job I had was working in Next.
Okay.
Next?
Yeah, I know.
Next retail.
Yeah. Is it like the factory?
So it was the stockroom.
The stockroom.
Mm-hmm. It was the stockroom. That was the first job I had. I had a 9-hour 20 contract.
What does that mean?
As in a week, I was contracted to do 9 hours 20. 9 hours 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Contract.
Okay.
And then another curveball was 2 weeks before I left the country, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh.
Okay, so it's getting interesting, right? So I came into this country, I was already pregnant and I was looking for jobs. Since I couldn't get the normal, job, I got a Christmas temp job with Next. Which was 9 hour 20 minutes because it was Christmas time.
So it's more like packing hampers, am I right?
No, not really. Packing hamper is... Maybe because you know me now, packing hamper is a good job now.
Actually, I want you to say a lot about how the job looks you get.
So it's more working on the shop floor. Okay. Next was a retail shop floor.
Okay.
A retail, like the Next, they have the Next clearance, Next shops. So I was working on the shop floor. So you would have people who would say, oh, I made some orders, blah, blah, blah. Then you go down to the stockroom. The stockroom was downstairs. Use the numbers and get the clothing and then bring it up and all those kind of things.
Wow.
Mind you, I was pregnant. But because God blessed me with a very beautiful, slim body, nobody knew I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Why I'm stressing the 9 hour, 20 minutes contract was, even if that was my contract, I was working 40 hours a week.
Whoa.
So I was taking a lot of overtime in that state. The reason why I'm saying this is sometimes you make a leap of faith to migrate to a country. It works for some people. It doesn't work for some people.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you find yourself in that state? Yeah. I think the lessons I learned doing all that is what has made me resilient. So after having my son, it was really a struggle. I couldn't pay my rent.
Whoa.
Yeah. I had friends, good friends from church, who were helping me pay rent.
Seriously?
Yes.
For how many months?
So they paid rent. So I had my son in June.
Okay.
And the job that I was going to have after that was in September. So June, July, August, September.
Whoa.
And, because I had not worked enough to get payment, the maternity pay.
Yeah.
So I was without a job and without money.
Benefit. Yeah.
No, you can't get benefit
Yeah.
because you're not a citizen.
Yeah.
So those were the hard times. And then I had friends who were now helping me out. But it didn't stop there. I didn't really want to continue being in that state.
Okay.
So I can cook.
Okay.
So I started cooking.
And selling.
Yeah, well, I would say help people to cook and they give me stipends, right? Let me put it that way. And then I now found out that, okay, this is good.
Okay.
Then I now registered myself as a self-employed person because I needed to pay tax. I needed to make it very clear. And then I started experimenting how to make like suya and stuff, right?
Before we came on set, you were talking about like you documentary.
Yeah. So I did.
IMAX.
Yeah. There's a documentary that is going to be coming up just because of confidentiality. I'll probably not go into
The details.
where it's going to be.
Yeah.
But the documentary, the guy identified me as a suya entrepreneur because he knows my story of how I used suya to get most of the certifications that I have. I don't know if you've seen my profile, but I have a lot of certifications.
I was about to read. Hello there. Thank you so much for your support on this podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this to inspire somebody. And if you're interested in sharing your story, please get across to us just by using the contact details you can see on the screen at the moment. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants, and the aim is to continue to share success story. It's not about the politics, it's about the journey to success.
So so let me just say, because it's very important for us to understand that if you get to this country, things might not work the way you want it to work. And I always have the saying that I joke about. I say, if life gives you lemons, you turn it into lemonade. Right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be getting handouts. I didn't want to be that person who was with her son, because my husband was not in the country. That's a different. I had a son.
but you just said you married. You migrated because you got married.
Yeah. So in order not to go into so many, so I migrated because I got married. But prior to, being very honest, prior to the time of me migrating to myself, my husband was asked to leave the UK to be able to regularize his stuff. But that didn't work out well.
Wow.
So the table flipped, and I ended up being in this country with my son for about 8 years.
Whoa.
Yes. So yes.
Is it within the same 8 years that you went to Oxford for masters?
No.
That
was when the glory days.
Oh, okay.
The glory days.
Okay.
So basically, I think it will be good for me to just say how I moved from working in Next. And I told you I got a job in September.
Okay.
It was working in a company called Comcab.
Okay.
Comcast is the current company that owns Sky. So that's why I'm...
Okay.
Comcab, computer cab.
Okay.
And I was working in the call center booking taxis for people in London.
All right.
And I learned how to be resilient and I think one of the things you want to do in this podcast is to put it out there so that people will know that what they're experiencing now is a general phenomenon.
It's not the final final point.
I got all sorts of racial slurs and stuff from booking taxi. You'll be booking taxi for an elderly person and the person will tell you, I don't understand your accent. Where exactly are you from?
Does that matter?
Where? And I'll say, I'm from Aberdeen. No, damn it. You can't be from Aberdeen. All those kind of things. So those are the kind of shocks. But that makes you resilient.
Whoa.
That makes you resilient.
Wow.
What happened was in Computer Cab, they brought in a new system. And when they brought in that new system, they were looking for volunteers to test out the system.
Okay.
And that's how I volunteered to test out the system.
The system.
Then I now realized that some of the jobs I was doing when I was in V-Mobile, testing out new systems, application, was actually a profession on itself. And that's what they call software testers.
Oh, okay.
So that was the beginning of my certification. The first certification I got in this country was software testing.
Wow. Is it the SVQ management?
Yes, so that is by British Computer Society. So they've got the software testing, I think it's the foundation, and they've got the practitioner.
Wow.
So I did the two. And I now knew that getting certification that time would actually distinguish you between would make you different, would actually give you an edge. So I went down that route. While working with Computer Cab,
the
DWP advertised for administrative officers.
Okay.
That one was also a fixed term contract.
Yeah.
So I jumped on it.
All
so
right.
I was a clerk in the civil service.
Well, can you put into perspective how much were you earning back?
I think I started with £15,000 per annum. Mind you, that £15,000 per annum was like me giving thanks to God.
Whoa.
Because the first salary I had when I was in Next was like £9,000 per annum.
Just tell me about your love for upskilling, because when I was reading your profile, I think you have close to 10 certifications in different aspects.
Yes.
And you went from ComCab to DWP. So there are two places I'm interested in. Number one is you did masters in Oxford.
Yes.
You get it. I'm interested in how you got there.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, how did cybersecurity come to you out of the blues? But first of all, let's go to maybe Oxford.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the experience. How did you find yourself in Oxford? This episode is proudly sponsored by Cofages, rooted in culture, brewed in honor.
Well, if I may take charge of the direction of travel.
No problem.
Because cybersecurity and Oxford are almost
Together.
is the storyline together.
Okay.
But I think one of the key things that I would, if there is anything that I want to reference, is the understanding of transitioning between roles. And why that is very key is because you might find yourself in jobs that you don't want to do
Okay.
because you feel that you're overqualified. I mean, I already had a master's degree before coming into the UK, but I started in the stockroom. One thing I always preach when I go about talking about transitioning, career and everything, every job is an opportunity to grow. I learned how to communicate while being on the shop floor.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Because one of the things that is very daunting for any migrant, as long as you were not born here, is struggle with the language
And the accent.
and the accent.
Yeah.
More the accent, not the language, because my country, we speak 100% English,
Yeah.
right? So it's more about the accent and understanding what is being, and I learned it on the shop floor of Next. So that's quite key. Then fast forward, moving from Computer Cab, where I told you I was working in the call center before I had the opportunity to test the software, and then moved into software testing. But it didn't stop there. When I got into the civil service, I was a normal clerk, a job coach, what they call job coach, for people who are on job seekers allowance.
Okay.
Do you understand the benefits?
Yeah.
So all my job was to help people get back into work, which was a passion. But I kept my eyes open, volunteering opportunities. And for instance, I took advantage of an opportunity to volunteer to be at that time, Lean Six Sigma was the in thing.
Yeah.
And they said, they want people to be a facilitator or to attend the academy.
Yeah.
And I was a clerk, but I volunteered to be a facilitator.
Part of it. Yeah, so what you're saying in essence is actually that in any role you are, always look out for things and don't grumble. Because one thing I've come to realize is it's actually difficult, you know, like for you to come from where you are and you're high up there And then you have to just come and just pick up any role and not feel that resentment. You know, it's not really resentment, but sometimes you just be like, "Ah,
You feel you failed yourself.
yeah, you get it. You get it.
But can I tell you that most of the people that I mentor, because I mentor a lot of people,
Okay.
one of the things I tell them is you have to face reality. One of the biggest pitfalls for migrants to this country, especially educated migrants, is pride. Subtle pride, because normally we're all humble human beings.
Yeah.
But this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not how I'm supposed to. This is not what I dreamt of. And that has always been a blocker. But we turn that into, what am I supposed to learn in this particular
The
role?
process.
One of the problems that we normally have is how we deal with people, right? I tell people I am so colorblind. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I am so colorblind. So if you are coming and you are probably judging me based on my color, I would not even notice.
Oh, now I get it.
That's what I mean by
it's more of
colorblind.
like you don't easily attach things to your color. You feel it's just a very
Is either the person has a bad attitude or the person cannot stand excellence. Period.
perfect.
Has nothing to do with where, you understand? And then so with that, there are many things that ideology that we need to drop and pick it forward. So anyway, I'll fast forward because I know you want to hear the juicy part. Moved into DWP and went on a rampage for certifications. So what I did was to identify where I want to be in the industry and how I can get there. So even if I was working as a frontline staff in DWP, I was looking into how to get into projects. I did my Prince 2 certification, became a practitioner, and I was helping people within DWP know about projects. Just like that.
So did you set a target for yourself that I must always have maybe one certification every year or one?
I did.
What's the target?
I did. Initially, I was doing 2 a year.
Okay.
2 a year. I don't give myself breathing space.
Okay.
You understand? I said I'm a restless person.
Yeah.
So I don't give myself breathing space. So I was doing 2 certifications a year.
But what the cost implication though?
So that's the story now. So being in an African community, you know what they call susu?
No.
Oh my days. You don't understand the streets. All of you came with a butter.
No, I'm not. So I to be honest, I can tell you maybe a bit of an idea of what you mean by susu.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the western part of the country we're from, and you're from south.
Yeah.
So we might be calling it different things.
I thought ajo.
Yeah,
is that what you call it?
Yeah, like contribution.
Yeah, contribution.
Why wouldn't I know that? My mom sent me to school with that.
So myself and your mom, we have things in common.
I'm telling you.
So honestly, so what I used to do with other church folks was to do joint contribution.
Okay.
Then I take the money from the contribution and pay for certification.
All right.
Then I work my head out doing suya, plaiting hair, blah, blah, blah. Putting all those money back to pay back the susu.
Wow.
Or the ajo, or the thrift. As I know that's the English name, thrift.
Yeah.
Thrift collection.
Yeah.
So that was how I got most of my certifications. Then I now got into DWP and now started using their packages to get certifications. So the rest is history. Yeah, it made it easier.
Hello there. Thank you so much for your support on this podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this to inspire somebody. And if you're interested in sharing your story, please get across to us just by using the contact details you can see on the screen at the moment. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants, and the aim is to continue to share success story. It's not about the politics, it's about the journey to success.
It's easier.
Can you just give a bit of time frame? So you've been in the UK now for almost 20 years.
Yes.
Can you give a time frame of like from when you entered to like you got into now where you are today in terms of like walking in line of that career?
So I think I got in 2007
Okay.
Moved down from Aberdeen to Leeds in 2012, which was the breakthrough, yes.
Yeah.
Because I got a role in a project,
DW.
in DWP project.
Okay.
Then from that project, I continued in most projects. I worked in fraud and error projects, cyber projects.
All right.
So after having my girl, that was in 2015,
Okay.
I now decided, okay, it's time for me to go into the private sector.
To upskill again.
So I upskilled again.
So is this so now going to Oxford University, was it part of your upskilling schedule? Like
No,
so
I never dreamt of going to Oxford University.
Wow.
Never in my wildest dream did I think I was going to go to Oxford University, let alone doing a doctorate.
Wow.
Because I finished from University of Benin in the year 2000, 99, 2000.
Just to put in context, you studied mathematics.
I studied mathematics there.
And you finished with first class, if I remember.
Oh, that's your dream now. I finished with a 2-2.
Oh, so we have similar stories.
So yeah, I finished with a 2-2. No, yours. Yeah. You were not happy with your 2-2. Mine, I deserved the 2-2. Because my son better not hear this. I was one of those people that didn't used to attend class.
Oh, let's not go much into that.
Not go much into that. But the thing was, I had a mathematical brain. So I can go, that's why I succeeded in maths. But let's park that.
Yeah.
Do you need the truth?
Yeah, I absolutely.
So what do you think? I've had interviews where I went into the interview. I read the hell out of myself the night before, went into the interview and went blank.
Whoa.
And then the people who were asking me questions, they asked me, I still use that as an example. They asked me to do some quick calculation that you would block your mindset and I think it was some ridiculous thing like minus 200,000 from 1 million or something like that. And because my brain was flat,
you couldn't just.
I couldn't. Wow. Then I took paper and pen and wrote 1,200,000 and something. I'm not joking. And I was removing the zeros because my brain was dead.
Whoa.
So the story for interviews, I cannot count how many, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we went for a better candidate. I think I'm the custodian of that line.
Seriously?
Yes. So, because people think those things are strange, or those things are new, or those things are targeted to you. No, it's the normal thing.
To be honest, I've had my fair share of unfortunate after interviews this year, especially this year. And it's kind of amazing, like some of the things you go through in this country. And if you're watching this podcast, one of the things you should actually understand is actually you are not the only one going through what you're going through. And for everybody you see that have gotten to any top organization or to any top position, they have actually gone through this. Tell me, how did you actually identify this Sky opportunity? Yeah,
so in the DWP, I was working as a business analyst, amongst other jobs. So when the opportunity came in Sky, they were looking for more digital business analysts, people who have worked with systems. And because I wasn't too restricted with the kind of things I was doing in DWP, I applied for it and I got the job. Wow. But the key thing is, there are multiple failures that I've had applying for jobs. But the key thing I want to stress, if there's anything you remember with this, getting into Sky, I immediately identified that I cannot be a general technologist for too long. I needed to cut out a niche for myself. And that's how cyber came into play.
All right.
And I looked at it, the best way, everybody have to identify the best way for you to learn. The best way for me to learn is to sit down in a class and be taught. So I was looking for courses that I could do. I couldn't really find. I even applied to do a DBA in one of the universities. The rejection was so tough. The guy was telling me, Oh, you have a 2-2. Oh, by the way, I've just looked at your transcript. In your year 2, you didn't pass this course, this course, this course. Why do you think you can do a DBA? Blah, blah, blah. Wow. And, that threw me off. A friend of mine said, with your industry experience, why are you looking for a DBA in this school? Why don't you apply and go and do a master's in Oxford? I looked at her saying, are you for real?
Seriously?
And then I now researched Oxford, and there I saw that they had a master's in software and system security.
Okay.
And I applied. In my head, I was just doing it for doing sake. And luckily enough, scholarship was now advertised for only that master's.
Wow.
And I applied for the scholarship.
And you got it?
Well, I don't want to sound, I got it, so I look as if I'm very intelligent. But
Seriously?
it wasn't a walk in the park. Because in Oxford, they would do interviews, they would, and one of the things I'm scared of is academics.
Okay.
I feel they know more than me. So that day, I was praying at the same time having the interview. And the rest is history. I think that opened a lot of doors for me. And I found out that I had a passion for cybersecurity. I continued in that role. But I told you I'm restless.
Yeah.
And I identified that having spent like more than 6 years working in cyber, there's a new era.
Okay.
And that is how I started looking into artificial intelligence, securing artificial intelligence, hence my doctorate. So you can see from the beginning to the end, there's a pattern of identifying where there are gaps, where you can create a niche for yourself.
Yeah. Hello there. Thank you so much for your support on this podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this to inspire somebody. And if you're interested in sharing your story, please get across to us just by using the contact details you can see on the screen at the moment. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants, and the aim is to continue to share success story. It's not about the politics. It's about the journey to success. Yeah.
And that is the trick of growing. Whether you are doing shop floor, whatever, make sure that you are identifying what you can offer the organization that nobody else is offering.
I don't want us to leave this podcast episode without you talking about making, there's a way you always frame it that you can build a career for yourself on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So let me use a scenario to describe it. So, for instance, you are working in, let's say, the care industry. Okay? Which is a very tough industry to grow. But there's nothing stopping you from putting out your profile, well-knitted, arranged profile, not pictures where you are looking funny, right?
Yeah.
And put that you are a healthcare enthusiast, healthcare practitioner, or whatever. And then on your LinkedIn, any new thing that is coming out in healthcare, you write about it.
Okay.
You talk about it. You read and you bring those new information. For instance, the care commission is changing, blah, blah, blah. As an enthusiastic care practitioner, these are what other care practitioners should know. It shows that you have interest in your role, even outside your job, outside the hours, outside the money that you're spending, that you're getting.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things. Look for the area where you have interest in. And even if that is not the area where maybe you are not in that area yet, but you are an enthusiast in that area, don't lie about what you are doing, but put in there that you have a passion for this area and talk about it. I have mentored somebody who was like that.
Yeah.
And at the end, she ended up getting a 9-to-5 job, paying her for the things that she's always talked about on LinkedIn.
Wow. The first one is, was there someone who believed in you before you believed in yourself in this country?
Oh, yes. And if you allow me to mention names.
Yeah, you should.
Yes. So I had a director in Sky. Her name is Renee Hunt.
Renee Hunt. So shout out to Renee Hunt.
She probably killed me for mentioning her name.
No.
And Renee just identified that there was something that I had to offer, and that was too much in the background. I looked up to her and learned a lot from her. We still keep in touch. The way she believed in me, I don't think any other person had believed in me, another female. Then there's another person who was my direct line manager when I first got into Sky. And his name is Mark Kitchen.
Wow. Mark Kitchen, thank you.
Until tomorrow, I still tell him that he's one of the destiny helpers that I have in this country. So those are the two people. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah. So what does greatness mean to you now, and how do you measure it?
Greatness is all about impact. It's not about you. It's not about the attribute or what God has blessed you with. It's about the impact that you're making. And allow me to be blunt. If you are not making impact, there's no greatness there.
Wow, that's good. What legacy are you building for yourself?
Would I say for myself or for the generations to come?
Yeah, like what do you want to be remembered for? Something like that.
I want to be remembered as that person that achieved things that made other people look at it and say, because she can do it, I can.
Oh, wow. I want to make greatness look ordinary to everybody.
Yeah.
You get it? So I don't want greatness to feel like unachievable.
Yes.
I want you to hear my story and say that if you could move from this point to this point, then greatness is possible. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
To everybody. So looking back now, what will you tell your younger self? Or like on the day you arrived this country? So just like imagine like you know what you know now, and then just imagine that the day you were arriving, what would you have told yourself on this?
You don't need to fear God. God has got you.
Yeah, you don't need to fear anything. Okay. If your story were a headline, if I want to make like a headline out of your story, what will it from Aberdeen to Sky?
The woman who ate challenge for breakfast.
Wow.
Because I know that my story is about resilience, is about moving forward, is about never giving up. We would always have challenges, but we have to turn challenges to our advantage.
The woman who ate challenge for breakfast.
Yes.
So Felicia, the woman who ate challenge for breakfast. I mean, it's a privilege having you.
Thank you so much.
It's a privilege having you.
Thank you.
Just before you go, is there something you want to tell somebody out there that is struggling? You know, you've shared that you couldn't pay rent at some point. You've shared how you have to move. Like you said, your first salary was like 15,000 per year.
No, that's 9,000
per annum.
Yes.
And you said you were even very grateful.
I was.
To actually have that.
Yeah.
So can you just look into the camera and actually tell somebody watching this, you get what I mean, that just something from your heart of heart, just tell them something. Like just imagine like somebody in your shoes those days and tell them something that would keep them going.
Sometimes the situation can be very tough. But you need to realize that you're tougher than the situation. And you can make it. As long as you have that can-do attitude. I mean, the sky is the stepping stone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants. It's a podcast, actually, that is designed to share the success stories of immigrants. This is not only limited to the UK. We're still going to be recording in the US, in Australia, in Canada, in Europe. So anywhere you are across the world, anywhere you are in UK, if you want to share your story, just contact us. You would see the email address. You would see all our contact details on YouTube or anywhere you're getting your podcast from. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Share to somebody out there so that you can encourage their story. Once again, Felicia from Sky, the woman who ate challenge for breakfast. Thank you so much for coming. It's a privilege. And hopefully, I'm hoping that I would have to interview you again the next 5 years on this same podcast. And by then, you would be like, yeah, I was the first on your podcast.
Yes. I'll come in with my gray hair.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and do have a lovely day.